Our products are organically sourced natural healthy foods from Nigeria, West Africa, sourced directly from the small local farmers. At Naturalike, we believe what you put in your body and on your body can dramatically impact your health and well-being. Boost your energy levels and satisfy your cravings with a healthy dose of natural sweetness from our products. We're excited to help lead African foods and products into the global health and wellness markets. Follow us on Instagram at Naturalike, on Facebook at Naturalike LLC, and YouTube at Naturalike TV. These organically sourced foods are available at our Amazon store, amazon.com/Naturalike. Email us at naturalikeproducts@gmail.com.
One of the greatest empires in world history was the Mali Empire. The Mali Empire was one of the most prosperous and powerful empires in the antiquity of Africa. Its growth and expansion from the 13th century onwards was legendary and pivotal in the history and culture of Western Africa. The Mali Empire Volume 1, from author J.P. Martin, available on Amazon, is a book which provides the full historical record of the Mali Empire. From their control over the trans-Saharan trade routes and development of great cities such as Timbuktu, to their influential royal class who produced notable African kings such as Mansa Musa, Sundiata Keita, and Mansa Abubakar Keita II, the Mali Empire made a significant impression. This book is perfect for anyone interested in learning more about the history of Western Africa. Order your copy right now on Amazon. The Mali Empire, Volume 1, from author J.P. Martin. Go to Amazon.com and get your copy today.
Peace, family. I hope all is well. Oh, sorry about that. Peace, family. I hope all is well. I hope your Thursday is going well. Thank you so much for joining. And again, thank you so much for joining. Excuse me. Have a little bit of the itis. I just finished eating. Let me get it together. Do me a favor. Hit the like button again. Please hit the like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. Again, make sure you share and subscribe. I will greatly appreciate it. Again, hit that like button, share and subscribe. Before we get started, I have a couple of announcements, or really just one announcement. Tours. We are rolling to Nigeria. Again, we are rolling to Nigeria August 4th through the 13th, August 4th through the 13th for the Oshun Festival. Again, we are rolling to Nigeria August 4th to the 13th for the Oshun Festival. Please come and join us. If you're interested, please visit Danfo, DANFO.Africa. Again, please visit Danfo, DANFO.Africa. We have 2 spots remaining. Once again, we have 2 spots remaining. So please visit Danfo.Africa. Zanzibar, we sold out. The past trip that I just returned from, Senegal, for the Jazz Festival, we sold out. But we got Nigeria. Come and experience the Oshun Festival in Nigeria. We will have an excellent time. We are going to have an excellent time. It's a great experience. Nigeria is a beautiful country. Do not believe the negative propaganda that is out there on Nigeria. I was just there last week. So after Senegal, so I had took a group to Senegal for the Jazz Festival in St. Louis. And then after Senegal, I went to Nigeria. I stayed a week, and I had a great time. Had a great time. Went to Osun State. They came back to Lagos, and Nigeria is a whole different vibe. So come and experience Nigeria. Guys, I'm up. I'm ready to go. Let's have a great show. In about 30 minutes, I'll put the link in the chat room so you could call in and add to the conversation. Look at Pearly. Hold on. Is that Pearly? That was Pearlie. Let's go back to Pearlie real quick. Pearlie, she joined me last year on our in fact, that's Pearlie right there, for our Oshun Festival experience in August of last year. So again, come and join us for the Oshun Festival. There goes Pearlie right there with her camera, her phone, her iPhone. So once again, we got 2 spots remaining. We'll love to have you. Let's jump into today's topic. So we're going to be discussing BLM, Black Lives Matter, DEI, which is a diversity initiative program that they have at institutions in the name of diversity. George Floyd and the Fearless Fund. You guys are asking, how does this all tie in? How does this all tie in? Because they're cutting DEI programs left and right. DEI initiatives are cutting left and right. If you're not familiar with the Fearless Fund is a nonprofit in which they award grants to businesses that are owned by women of color. Which, when they say women of color, I'm guessing, it's ran by Black women. But, whenever Black people have something, we always got to do, instead of just saying, hey, this is just for Black folks, we always got to say we always got to make it POC, which I don't understand. So there's been a lot of controversy regarding that, regarding the Fearless Fund, because their program has been deemed, I don't want to use the word illegal or maybe unconstitutional, but they've been effectively shut down. So their initiatives as far as raising money and giving these grants or funds to George Floyd is not a member of Omega Psi Phi. Is he really? I don't believe that, but I'll look it up. Giving these funds to women of color, entrepreneurs. In fact, Pinky of Slutty Vegan, I eat that Slutty Vegan. It's not too far from me. She was awarded some money from the Fearless Fund. But since it was specifically targeted for and meant for women of color, some folks said that's unconstitutional, that's racist. Why can't white women be eligible for this fund? And when we have these conversations and when people make these arguments, I always listen to both sides. There's 2 sides to every story. And a guy who disagreed with the Fearless Fund, he made a great point. He said, why are you going to predominantly, or to not even predominantly, to white corporations seeking money for women of color, but white women aren't eligible? Again, why are you going to white institutions, white corporations seeking money for women of color and not including white women? How about you just go get the money from Oprah Winfrey? That's what he said. Like, if you want to make this a woman of color thing, or for Black women, why don't you go to the richest Black woman in America and have her cut a check? Why go to white institutions or white corporations to and ask them to fund your initiative, but not include white women? But let me backtrack a little bit. So if you guys remember, you had Michael Brown, you had Tamir Rice, you had a number of police involved shootings. If they get it from Oprah, the program will still be illegal without including white women. But see, you could say that, but I think what raised the red flags was, you're going to these white corporations and you don't want to include white women. Now, if they just kept it blackly, black, 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 I don't think people really would have made too much of a fuss about it. If you ask me again, I don't know, but that's my opinion. And this is all my opinion. So you had the Mike Brown shooting, you had the Tamir Rice shooting, you had a number of police-involved shootings. But the one that stood out, and he wasn't shot, he was choked to death or suffocated, was George Floyd. And I remember when George Floyd was killed, the number of white people who called me sincerely concerned about what happened. So during that summer, or that spring, that summer, you had a lot of white guilt donations. You know, you saw the Black Lives Matter signs everywhere. You saw the George Floyd murals. You know, in my neighborhood where I live here in Atlanta, you know, you saw a ton of Black Lives Matter signs and lawns, you know, of white people. They're no longer there. And there's a reason why, if you ask me. So again, so you had a lot of white guilt. To the point where an organization by the name of Black Lives Matter were able to secure $60 million in white guilt money, white guilt donations. They didn't take that money, don't circulate it into the Black communities that, you know, George Floyd came from. They instead took that money and bought real estate in some of the whitest neighborhoods, some of the non-Black, non-diverse neighborhoods on the planet. They didn't file bankruptcy. And I'm telling you, when that happened, white folks were like, okay, fool me once. What's the saying? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, fool me twice, shame on me. Is that the saying? Something like that? It's like, okay, you played us, you got us. You had guys like Misson, I forgot his name, the activist, who was doing live streams bragging literally bragging about the amount of money they made through this Black Lives Matter hustles via this BLM hustle. So you got that, you got people bragging about how they got the bag. And so white folks like, all right, we done. So if you notice, with all these DEI programs being shut down, what's going on with the Fearless Fund, where are the white eyes? Because during the summer of rage, when stuff was getting burned up and you had the riots, white folks were heavily involved. But when it comes to DEI programs and the Fearless Fund, you know, where's Antifa? Where's the, you know, all the white faces that were at the BLM rallies marching through the streets? Where are they? Where are they at? They are nowhere to be found. In fact, when I watch some of these press conferences with the Fearless Fund, you know, it's for women of color. That's what they say, women of color. But Black people run it. Where are the other women of color at? I mean, you have a few here and there who are speaking out. Where are all these people at? And I'm just telling you, for the most part, they are done. They have moved on. The days of getting the white guilt money, the white guilt bag, for the most part, those days are over. I mean, it's still out there from my understanding. But that summer, I think it was 2020, right? When Floyd died. Was it 2020 or 2019? I think it was 2020. Guys, help me out. Was it 2019 or 2020 where George Floyd was killed? I think it was 2020. That year, that summer, man, they were cutting checks, white guilt checks, but now it's over because of greed, selfishness, and now you're feeling the after effects and the impact of that. That's my theory. I could be wrong. Again, I could be wrong. You call me idiot, you call me uninformed. I don't know. I mean, whatever. But again, that's just my opinion. This is just my opinion. This is just my theory. I'm going to put the link, May 2020. Okay, May 2020. But can you really blame white people? Like, listen, we gave y'all $60 million. Y'all were getting $60 million in these grants and these funds and this, that, and the other. And you take the money and you blow it. Ain't shit changed in the Black community. Nothing has changed. All this money we gave you guys in the name of George Floyd, what did you do with it? Nothing. Okay, we done. What's the purpose? Guys, links in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, please click on the link. Again, if you want to call in and add to the conversation, please click on that link. We'd love to hear your input. Nah, that it wasn't boule money. It wasn't boule money. It was white guilt money. Trust me. That definitely was not boule money. That was white guilt money. Okay, well, let me reread your comment. You're wrong. The money didn't come from white guilt by white elites paying the boule to control Black opinion. They keep your attention with racial injustices. So what you're saying is the white elite were paying a Black boule in order to control the opinion of to keep us distracted, pretty much, and focused on the whole injustice situation. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting topic right now. I do feel like there's been like a rise in like extreme right groups in the recent years.
Extreme what? Extreme what groups?
Extreme right, like right wing groups.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
In the recent years, and like people like the January 6th people,
okay,
who are just like extreme in their political beliefs, and in those groups you have a lot of what I would call racist people as well. And they've been on the rise for the past couple of years, and like, and they've been more open with it, like you said, like the whole what do you call it, white guilt money is drying up. They feel more open about expressing their feelings.
Right. But the white guilt money wasn't coming from the far right, so I don't know how the far right groups tie into
Not it was because the whole white guilt thing was kind of kind of preventing a lot of far right people from expressing their opinions openly, because even with the Elon, he's a, I would consider him an extreme far right person, and he supports them, which is why he's been leading this whole DEI anti DEI thing. But even Elon on Twitter, he said, if you are in the right wing and you've been accused of racism before, and people have tried to cancel you. All pay for your lawyer, and you can not be affected by people on the left wing who are trying to cancel you. So they feel more open, and feel like there's people on their side who will back them up, and have the things that they express not affect their public life or their professional life. So it's, the whole white guilt drying up thing is also affects the right wing people.
Yeah, I just think if you study before, if you research Twitter before it became X, before Elon Musk acquired it, you had whoever was running Twitter, they were targeting. It didn't even have to be right wing. It could be like, hey, I don't agree with how COVID is being handled, and they will snatch your account. So it wasn't just strictly right wing. It was just if you disagreed, I guess, with the left, period, on anything, which doesn't make you right wing. They were canceling your accounts. So he was talking about that as well.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though, and that left mentality kind of does have that white guilt thing ingrained into it. So they were kind of checking the more right winged people who do openly, consider themselves, say racist things or say extremist things. But both parties does have racist people in it. So to me, it doesn't really make quite much of a difference. There can be racist left wing people or racist right wing people. So um, as far as like what you're talking about, Twitter before it became X, I've never seen the amount of racism I see on X right now. I never saw that on Twitter before it became X.
It's been there. It's been there.
Yeah, but not this open. People are actually making like livings off of it. Like, and the most racist accounts are just allowed to stay up there without any kind of pushback.
That's because the accounts are not racist.
Well, how would you know which accounts I'm talking about?
I know it, like Asian Dawn. There's another Asian chick. I forgot her name. The accounts are not racist. The accounts refuse to capitulate to black ignorance and black
No, you,
victimhood.
you just you just
Look,
assumed
see what I just
which
said?
accounts I'm talking
Look
about.
at
No,
look at
I'm
I
not
can't
talking
even
about Asian Dawn. I'm not talking
bro.
about Asian
What
Dawn.
is racism preventing you from doing? This is my thing. You're a
I
grown
didn't say
man, bro.
racism was
Hold
preventing
on,
me
hold
from
on,
doing
hold on.
anything.
Hold on. You're a grown man talking about how hurt you are by a racist account on Twitter. No one's forcing you to be on Twitter. You don't have to get on Twitter. And guess what? You don't have to go to a racist account on Twitter. You're going there purposely gaslighting yourself
I
so
don't
you
have
can
an X
feel
account anymore. I just shut that shit
so
down
why even bring it up?
because of the topic of the show. I'm not really complaining about racism on
I'm
here, bro.
I'm saying the topic of the show, right? You're saying there's racist people on the right and left and all that stuff. Racism doesn't impact you in any way, shape, or form. You've never met a Klan member. You don't live next door to a Klan member. And that's the issue with the black man. He's hyper focused on what other people are doing. This is America. I don't know where you're from, but in America, people can do what they want to do as long as they're not bothering nobody else. If that dude want to burn crosses on his lawn, oh, as long as that's his lawn, he got a right to do that. And I'm sure that the city will come get him for violating some type of burning trash laws or something like that. The real reason, Dinus, why the white guilt money is drying up is because white people who use that, they got everything they wanted. Black people don't even have a black card no more. We used to be able to use racism as a tool to get some concessions on things. The LGBTQ, the liberal white woman, the lesbian, the transgender, they have totally stolen the black card from us and they use it for their own gain. And you know what they did? They stepped on our neck to get power, but we bent down to let them. And once they got power, guess what they did? They started punching down on us. just like Dave Chappelle said in that one comedy skit. That's why I dried up, because for the black man and woman in America, the number one currency is white acceptance. We will give them our firstborn children for their acceptance. And you know how I know that's true, guys? We send our kids to school to get indoctrinated by their derangement and gender bending ideology every single day willingly, and while hollering how we don't agree with it. We get on the internet, Dynast, talk about the LGBTQ, talk about transgender hysteria, talk about mental illness on here. They curse me out. Then they send a little Timmy, little Johnny right up into the school to talk about genderqueer and how to have homoerotic sexual intercourse and all that stuff in the 3rd and 4th grade. We're just dumb, and we're dishonest intellectually, and it's showing. And that's why the money dried up. They got us. They don't need to pass. They like the Democratic Party now.
All right, go ahead, Providence. Unmute yourself. Providence, you got to unmute yourself. All right, guys. Links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. If you want to call in, add the conversation, please click on the link.
Okay. Hello.
Yes,
hello?
I hear you. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Hello. Dynast. I want to just give a shout out to my brother. Pan-Africanism strikes back. He is speaking nothing but facts. This is, I saw the topic and I felt like I had to comment. I'm a mother with 3 children in elementary school, and and I'm in California. And DEI, well, let me address about Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, you know, I don't want to say I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I saw it for what it was way back then anyway. You know, Black Lives Matter, I guess back in, like, let's say 2014, it seemed like it was serious, at least on the surface, back when I first heard of it. And they were burning, St. Louis down? Because of I can't remember the boy that they shot back then.
It was Mike
Brown. Thank you. Okay, and that's when I first kind of heard of Black Lives Matter. You know, but when I did my research, I realized that Black Lives Matter is really nothing more than a front for the LGBTQ, and it's a way for the LGBTQ movement to intersect with the Black community. Okay. And to make it more palatable and acceptable for the Black community, because quiet as it's kept, Black people and Latino people are the only people who are keeping LGBTQ from literally taking over this country. Black people are more conservative than we think we are. That's not, it's, you know, so the LGBTQ, it's just something that we weren't really accepting as much as white people, especially the liberal, clearly, you know, with liberal whites. So when you looked at the BLM manifesto, it became very obvious and very clear, and which, by the way, they had to take down. They had to take down the BLM manifesto. You won't find it anymore. You'll only find it on Wayback Machine, okay, or other websites that have snapshot their manifesto, which made it very clear that they were not for Black liberation or Black, you know, for social justice. And that word social justice, I'm gonna get to that in a minute. But they're really not for any real change, you know, as it relates to, you know, police brutality or anything like that. They really want to just dismantle the Black family unit. All right. Their manifesto made it very clear that they want to decenter men. They use all these woke terms like decentering, so they want to decenter men, and they want to center queerness. Do you understand? So they talked a lot about women, protecting the woman, protecting the children, protecting the community. There's no mention of a man anywhere in regards to BLM, and centering. So they want to decenter men, and they want to center queerness. That's in their manifesto, which you can go Google and see the joke that they are. I had my suspicions, and sure enough, when I looked it up, I couldn't find the manifesto, but you find it on other websites, and that's really what they were pushing. They're pushing the perversion, because I'm sorry, but that's just what LGBTQ is perversion. And so they're using the emotions Okay, and BLM is funded by George Soros. I was putting that in the chat. That's where all the money's coming from. It's not coming from, someone said something about white, no, it's coming from George Soros, who is a known, and you kind of have to be, y'all have to kind of think conspiracy theory terms here, okay? Because everything that the conspiracy theorists were saying turned out to be true, but he is an agitator, and he funds agitation, he funds division, to tear down nations, to tear down nations. That's what he's doing in Europe. Excuse me. That's what he's doing in South Africa. I believe he's funding Malema. As much as I love Julius Malema over in South Africa, he's funding him. Okay. And that's why Julius Malema, guess what? He pushes that LGBTQ. All right. So anyway, so that's who BLM is being funded by. It's being funded by a billionaire, a European Jewish billionaire, okay, who's meant to sow dysfunction and sow division in order to create chaos. All right. So they can, and this is a Marxist ideology. Remember, BLM, they said that they are known, they said that they are trained Marxists. Marxism, Marx. Okay. So you have Marxism, which is, so enter in DEI. Okay. DEI is identity politics. I came to learn of DEI with my children at school. DEI, what DEI does is it teaches something called critical social justice. Okay. Critical social justice. Critical social justice has nothing to do with critical thinking. That word critical has to do with critical theory. And what critical theory is, in a nutshell, it's nothing more than Marxism. Why do we need to be concerned about this? Marxism, in a nutshell, is identity politics. What it does is, excuse me, what it does is it puts people into different groups, into identity groups. They want our children. They're passing an equity framework in my school right now. I protest it, and I'm trying to get other Black people, in my children's school to protest it as well. But they're using us as Black people because what they're doing is they're saying Black and Latino kids are not doing well as the white and Asian kids. So what we need to do is we need to bring in equity. Okay, we need to bring in equity, which will lower the standards so that the white and Asian kids can perform as poorly as the Black and Latino kids. That's essentially what the equity framework is. And that's essentially what DEI is, at least in the schools. Okay. It becomes DEI in the workplace, but in the schools, it's equity frameworks. Okay. And what it does is, on the academic side, it lowers standards because it's a way to dumb down all the kids. All right. Which in essence creates resentment, okay, by the high performing children, which my children are a part of. That's why I'm against it. And I know all Black children are excellent children. I don't have that low opinion of our children. All you need to do is go back into history, look in the schools, even our segregated schools, and how our children were performing at higher levels. Okay, just as well, if not higher levels, than white children during segregation. So I don't want to hear all that, anyway. So that's what they're doing on the academic side. Now, on the non-academic side, the cultural side of this equity framework, they want everybody to be divided into race identity, into racial identity, into their gender identity, and into their sexual orientation identity. Okay, and essentially what that does is it creates a hierarchy of who is the most oppressed and and they're the ones who are going to be at the top, and then who is the least oppressed, and they're the ones who are going to be at the bottom. They're not going to get any attention. They're not going to get any services. They're not going to get any help. They don't want to reward those who they deem to be the least oppressed, which are the white male students, followed by the white female students, especially, God forbid you make good grades and you come from a 2-parent family and you know what I'm saying? You're middle class. Those children are at the bottom of the hierarchy, and those children are punished for being for performing well. Do you understand? So at least racially, they're at the bottom. Now, if you're black and you're performing well, okay, and you're middle class, you're down there with the whites, but you're not as low as the whites, okay, Asians and etc. Now, if you're you know, if you're poor, you know, if you have any type of disability, they love those with disabilities, okay, or you know, those who are artistic, neurodivergent. I have a new autistic son, you know, so he would be bumped up. You know what I'm saying? But they don't know where to put him exactly because he's also high performing, you know? So there's all these, and they call these things intersectionalities. You're black, but you perform, you're LGBTQ. And which, by the way, the LGBTQ are automatically at the top of this hierarchy. That's what makes this thing so dangerous is the LGBTQ are the most oppressed. It's not us. And that's what as I was calling in, that's what I was hearing Pan-Africanism Strikes Back was saying. The LGBTQ movement, they have literally hijacked everything that the civil rights movement has worked so hard for and fought so hard for. And that's a whole other subject on the civil rights movement and Martin Luther King and all that. But be that as it may, there were great gains that were made by Black people, okay, in the 60s, etc. But that's all been hijacked by the LGBTQ, and they are at the very top of this hierarchy. And by being at the top, and the queers and the trans are at the top of that. Let me add that. The queer and the trans are at the pinnacle of that hierarchy of the LGBTQ, because even within the LGBT, they have their own little schisms. You know, you've got the LGB that is against the T and the Q. So
I'll tell you this. If you want to know what the Democratic Party and the liberals in America are going to do, go to opensociety.org. Go to opensociety.org. It's George Soros' website. And if you just go down through the years, because it does like a timeline, every single thing George Soros says he's promoting is exactly what the Democratic Party up until right now today with Joe Biden is promoting. In 2022, George Soros made a commitment to a free and democratic, in 2020, George Soros made a commitment to a free and democratic Ukraine, right? Do you notice that for the past 4 years, all Joe Biden's been doing is funneling money to Ukraine? And that's what George Soros does. If no one knows what George Soros does, this is what George Soros does real quick. George Soros comes into a country. He gives money to the liberal-leaning leftist politicians. He gives them money so they can get elected. Once they get elected, he then gets them to funnel United States taxpayer dollars to the country of his choosing, and he gets kickbacks for that. George Soros is getting billions of dollars every time we sign a bill that sends money to Ukraine. That's why he's rich. That's how he makes his money. Let me give a politician $5 million or $600,000, $1 million. When that person gets elected, just like he gave Joe Biden millions of dollars, now that Joe Biden has gotten elected, his job is to encourage Congress to pass all legislation giving billions to Ukraine. George Soros is behind Vladimir Zelensky. You think those guys don't give George Soros a cut when they get these multi-billion-dollar aid packages from the United States? He just goes around to different countries, basically fleecing their politicians into giving him kickbacks once they get elected, and they can convince their constituents in their parliaments to send money all over the world to these different countries where George Soros gets his money, his kickbacks from. That's ultimately his scheme.
Okay, all right. Let me pass it to B. Go ahead, B. Unmute yourself. B.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that I think BLM is, I'm an Israeli American, and I grew up I was born in Russia, back when it was the Soviet Union. I think BLM, it's not just LGBT. I think it's a conglomerate of groups. You got communists, you got different goals. So when you're looking at it like, what's the goal? It's really not just one goal. It's different groups. This is like their machine. and they're using it to push all their goals through.
Yes, ultimately it's a Marxist group. They admitted that publicly.
Right. And, they're promoting communism, and like, you got to look at the Iranian Revolution, which, they call it the Islamic Revolution now, but it started out as a student revolution, and it wasn't just Muslims that were a part of that. It was, communists were a part of that, Jewish people were a part of that, but at the end, the Islamists took over. But the Islamists that did take over, they were trained in like Palestinian militant camps that were staffed and taught by the KGB. So I think, if you bring this, a lot of that stuff up to anyone that grew up in Russia when it was the Soviet Union, they'll tell you that it's kind of like the cultural revolution. They're trying to shift the culture in order to be able to take over, kind of.
Dynast, the audience is now asking, what's wrong with Marxism? People with jobs that they work every day who won't give a bum a quarter believe that they're actually Marxist. You can't make this up.
Yeah, man. Let's guys, links in the chat room if you want to call, links in the chat room if you want to call in and add to the conversation. Please click on the link again. Link is in the chat room if you want to add to the convo.
Can I add something about the what is wrong with Marxism? Marxism is basically the New World Order. Okay, it is the dystopian future that you always see in these movies, where everybody's wearing the same thing, right? Everybody is, is pretty much doing the same job. All right, or it may not necessarily be the same job, but what's going to happen is it's complicated, but basically they're going to test people, and it's going to start from preschool all the way up through college. They're going to know who's going to do what job. Okay, just like it's going to look like China. It's going to have the social credit score system. Okay, you have to go. You're going to be, monitored 24/7. All right, you're going to, and you can't say anything. You can't. There's no free speech in communism. It's basically going to look like someone said Cultural Revolution. It's going to look like what happened in Russia. All right, look at what the Marxist Revolution, and look at the millions of people who were killed during the Marxist Revolution in Russia and then China. Okay, you have Chinese people who have come here. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
You mean starved to death?
Well, yeah. Listen, because oh my gosh, that's the point. Because Marxism means you have to be controlled by the government. There's no, and there's none of this capitalism. There's none of this, work hard and you'll get rewarded, do whatever job you want to do, wear what you want. There's none of that, because whatever you wear will be up.
Hey, you gotta let her finish, Providence. I'll pass it to you.
Right.
I'll pass it to you.
I'll just summarize by saying, all you guys just do your history. Look at what Marxism. Because I have friends that are like all about Marxism, and I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all don't know history. Look at what Marxism did, because Marxism is nothing more than a totalitarian dictatorship, a totalitarian government-controlled system. Look at what Marxism did in Russia, and look how because Marxism has genocided and killed more people than any other form of government. Do your history. Go look it up.
That's a lie.
Don't we got a Russian guy on the panel?
We do. B, is she right or wrong?
I mean, a lot of people died under communism. That's not wrong. I mean, I guess there's a question whether communism is the same thing.
Well, B actually is from B. You're from communist Russia, right, or a former?
I was born in communist Russia 3 years before communism ended there, and it became the Russian Federal Republic. Yeah, I mean, communism is based on Marxism. I guess there's a question of whether communism and Marxism is the same thing.
It's the same thing.
I think the thing I'd say about BLM is I think they kind of scaled up, because they saw, like, let's not just appeal to people that care about African Americans or the Black cause. Let's also appeal to communists. Let's also appeal to this group. Let's also appeal to that group. And it's kind of almost like a super PAC in a way, you know, like ideological super PAC kind of.
So
Brandon, let me pass to the odd fellow. Then go ahead.
Yes.
I just want to say, I'm not promoting communism or anything like that, or Marxism, whatever. But the way that you guys are talking about, like, so against it, it's like slavery was under capitalism. The systems that we have right now that are like killing and destroying Black people are capitalism.
Slavery was also under Marxism or communism.
That's right.
Okay.
Come on, bro. Know your history before you start talking.
Where was the slavery and communism?
Russia. Have you ever heard of Joseph Stalin? Lenin?
Okay, so what about what's going on in Africa?
You just told us that.
That's a good point, because I don't really see BLM talking about.
Here's my point. The reason
that also happened under South Socialism.
I just got on, bro. Like, you gotta let me get my piece in. Like, the reason that we are trained to be so against communism is because it's against capitalism. And the reason that capitalists hate communism is because communists do not allow capitalists to own their land. If you have a communist country, the government owns their land, and another country.
You're wrong.
That's why.
Brandon, let him finish. Brandon, don't let him finish. Go ahead.
Why all these white folks are so mad at China, because China has a closed market. China does not allow the U.S. to buy anything in their country, so they own and control all of it. Meanwhile, China is buying up the U.S. and starting to own and control certain parts of the economy. So,
can I add something about China? They are the ones behind. They are the ones behind all of this. China and Russia, they're already here. Okay. They are the ones behind all of this. You have to understand that there is excuse me?
You talking about the BLM movement?
Well, no, not necessarily. There are many kind of tentacles, but George Soros is the guy. We'll give BLM. Let me finish. We'll give BLM to George Soros. What I'm saying, because I live in California, and California is run by the Chinese. Okay, they are the ones, all right, who they don't look at. You have to do your research. They're the ones. If y'all pay attention, they're the ones.
Yeah, your phone went out.
I just think that people should.
So there's a spying program. There's a spying program that they have through the K through 12 system, okay, where they are, and they're the ones pushing this DEI, because it really is that communism, that Chinese model style, that Chinese style communism that they're trying to bring over here, and it will come here. Let me tell you, it will come here, because I don't see anybody fighting against it. We have people in this chat. Black people are all for it. Okay. Every Black person that I talk to, that I try to warn about this, is like, no, nobody. The only people whose eyes are somewhat open to this, believe it or not, are the very unlikely allies. Well, no, the Jewish people are waking up, because now they're beginning to realize that they are targeted by the DEI. They have nothing to gain by DEI, because remember, they're the oppressors against the Palestinians. So they're beginning to wake up to the whole DEI, because they pushed it initially, but now they're realizing that they're not winning or benefiting from it, because they're being called the oppressors. You saw that during the whole college campus protest that was, that popped off. What I'm saying, though, is that it's these Republicans, okay? It's these white conservative, groups.
Watch out.
Right. The white conservative groups are the people who are like speaking out. They're the only people that are speaking out against this, but everybody else is asleep to this. There's a reason they don't teach about the Marxist. There's a reason why nobody knows anything about Marxism or communism in school. We were taught about the Nazis in school. Remember? We were taught about, I don't know. We were definitely not taught about communism. We weren't taught about the Cultural Revolution that happened in China. I literally see that happening right here.
Communism has been a dirty word since I was a kid. Like,
it is a dirty word.
It's been
And it is.
in the
There's nothing
U.S.
good about
In
it.
the U.S., it's been a dirty word for a long time.
Theo,
Do you know that they called MLK a communist?
no, they
He
didn't. He's a
was.
Republican. He was a Republican, but he was
They
he wasn't
called
a
him a
communist.
communist. There's
He wasn't a
science.
communist.
They
Hey, Theo,
equated what was it? The integration of schools with communism.
can I ask you a question?
Communism is it like the thing you got to understand is all these words don't really like what when they use it, it's not what you think they're using it as. They're just using it to reach a certain target.
Can I
George
ask you a
Soros
question?
is a millionaire. He has no
He's a
interest in
billionaire.
communism.
Can I ask you a
Billionaire. I'm
question?
sorry. He's super rich. He has no interest in giving his
It was
power.
my turn. But all right,
Oh, go ahead.
bro, straight hijack my turn. But I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
You have a job? Do you have a job?
Yeah.
Would you rather work a job, or would you rather the government decide what job you're gonna work and how much you're not gonna get paid money? They're gonna give you a bread allotment, a food allotment.
Money basically is a bread allotment.
I want to ask you, would you like for the government to determine how much food you get, where you live, all these aspects of your life?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so you talk about communism. All one needs to do is basically do
That's communism.
Wait, all one needs to do is do a very soft Google search on what communism is, countries that implemented communism, and you will see that the number one characteristic of communism is that immediately upon the implementation of it, you need to kill at least 20 million people within your population to cover up the fact that they're starving because they don't have enough food and they got no job or no economic system by which to enrich themselves. So you say communism is a dirty word. Communism is not a dirty word because we just chose a word and decided to put dirt on it. Communism is a dirty word because everywhere in the world where it has been attempted, it has resulted in massive amounts of death.
Yeah, this is facts. This is facts. There's nothing good about communism. And can I share that you go Google the 10 points of communism, and everybody, please go on Google. I just did it, and it lists the 10 points of communism. And I see that you literally can see that happening right now if you pay attention. Number one, the first point of communism is the abolition of property. Okay. Number two, a heavy progressive tax. Number three, abolition of all rights of inheritance. That means that whatever you inherited from your family home, heirlooms, whatever, all that is going to go to the government. This is a government. I mean, this is a dictatorship. All right. Number four, confiscation of property of all immigrants and rebels. Okay, this is confiscation really of property of everybody, not just immigrants and rebels. Number five, the centralization of credit in the hands of the state. Basically, centralization of the bank. Okay, like World Bank. All right. Number six, centralization of the means of communication and transport in the hands of the states. All right. So in other words, COVID, everybody go take those shots, everybody go get vaccinated. It could be another pandemic, because that's what that was. It could be another pandemic, and they're going to force everybody to go ahead and get vaccinated. God only knows what's in those vaccines, but this is going to be what Joe Biden was trying to do.
Please let him respond to the first things you said, because he said, "But I want to hear what he's about to say."
My bad. I got cut off because I got a phone call. I didn't hear the last.
You said, "But."
No, but I'm saying those things can happen under capitalism. What you're talking about is authoritarianism. That can happen under capitalism.
Hasn't happened yet.
Exactly. When has that happened? Basically. Give us an example of how that has happened.
It just happened with COVID.
No, but you know what? COVID. No, check this out. Who sued? Somebody sued. Okay, somebody sued because Joe Biden was trying to force everybody to get those vaccines.
But
and through the Supreme Court.
Listen, you were not forced to do anything on a federal level during COVID. So
exactly. Joe Biden was trying to, here's the thing.
That doesn't have to do with capitalism or communism.
You just said it happened under capitalism.
You just said it did. You
Wait
just
a
said
minute.
it did under COVID.
No. You're saying that happens under communism. If you have the correct laws under communism, that can't happen.
No, you just said that it happened under capitalism during COVID, bro. Do you know what you just said?
It basically did not.
No, it didn't.
Not
Name one
verbatim.
thing the government forced you to do under COVID.
You said what?
Name one thing the government forced on you during COVID. The government didn't even make you wear masks in government buildings.
Okay.
Now, if your state made requirements and mandates, but you didn't have to abide by that. You only had to wear a mask if you went inside of a private business, and that was rules pushed upon you by private entities.
Right. But under communism, the government is going to own all those companies. The company's not going to have the authority to say yes or no. That mask, no mask. You know what I'm saying? Under this, Joe Biden was trying to do exactly what I'm explaining here. He tried to mandate it on a federal level. You can go to states like Georgia. You can go to states like Florida, Texas. You know what I'm saying? The government wasn't trying to like push that down like they were here in California.
But I feel like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off, but I feel like you're conflating communism, capitalism with democracy. Like those aren't the same thing. Like capitalism,
what is democracy?
Democracy and communism with authoritarianism.
What is democracy?
You said what is democracy?
Yeah.
Rule of the people by, I don't know, voting. I don't have the technical definition.
Capitalism is an economic system. Democracy is a system of government.
Exactly.
That's two different things.
Yes.
And you think that China doesn't practice capitalism? Bro, there's nothing but capitalism in China. Apple, Google, all these different capitalists, these different private owned companies, bro. They do it. If they didn't let white capitalism into China, China would collapse in 24 hours.
That's because of what the U.S. and all that already owns. They like.
No, I thought you said China owns the U.S.
I didn't say they own. I said they're beginning to own parts of it.
So how you gonna, bro? You don't know if you coming or going.
I think the bottom line is you can have corruption under capitalism, but it's just much more likely under communism, since communism it's a statist, top-down system that works to make you dependent on the state. And once you're dependent on the state can make you do whatever it wants.
The thing is, I feel like you guys are trying to like box me into saying, "Oh yeah, communism." That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is these same things that can happen under capitalism. Okay, maybe it hasn't happened yet, but that's because of specific laws, like the amendments that were passed a long time ago in the U.S. Communism is a system a system of governance, yes, but doesn't say you can't have democracy under it.
I hear what you're saying, but if you look at communism and how it was implemented, like for example in Soviet Russia, what they did is they labeled anyone who had an X amount of land, X amount of money, they labeled them as an oppressor. They called them a kulak, and then they killed them. And then the communists put their own guy in charge of that person's position. And the person they put in charge, they weren't experienced. So when they were in charge of a farm or they were in charge of growing food or whatever, they couldn't do their job. So they couldn't grow the food because they didn't have the experience. And a lot of people starved because of that. Or they didn't have the motivation.
And these weren't rich people. These were poor families who inherited land throughout the generations, who Stalin marched into death camps and slaughtered because the government wanted to take control of their land. So you look at this like this is going to just hurt the rich people. This is going to have more of an impact on the middle class.
It's going to have an impact on it. It's going to have. I understand that communism isn't great. I understand that, but I'm trying to explain that the same things that happen under communism can happen under capitalism, just in a different way. Like capitalism is about ownership. What does the Black community own to such a great extent that we're in love with that system?
I don't disagree with you. I think, you could even say maybe there's some things that were better under communism than under capitalism.
Like, I'm just saying, there's like,
I would disagree.
The system is perfect.
There's nothing better.
Listen, hold on real quick. You're doing the thing where you have this assumption that all black people are poor. There are over 2 million black millionaires
Exactly. Oh
in
my
America, bro.
gosh.
Like, if
Okay,
you're broke, if you're broke,
I'm not doing that thing.
wait
I
a
am
minute,
not
bro.
doing it. I'm
You,
doing it. I'm looking
bro,
at black
hold on,
people
bro.
as a whole.
I'm going by what you just said. You just said, what do black people own, bro? It's black people in $1 million homes. I got $1 million house. Like,
When I say black
dynasty
people,
more money.
I'm talking about the group, not individuals within the group.
Black people are in the top 1% of wealth globally out of everybody on the planet. It's not even close. If you make $32,000 a year, you are in the top 1% earners on the planet. Black people are doing pretty damn good compared to many billions of people on the planet.
Brandon.
Here we go.
Brandon.
Okay.
Brandon.
I'm listening to you.
When I try to tell you that before, you told me black people don't have shit. That's what you said. You said we don't have shit, we don't make shit, we don't own shit. That's what you said. Oh my God. We want Dynast. We're gonna go back to the tape.
I'm here.
Okay, we're gonna go back to the tape. I try to tell you that, Brandon. I try to tell you that. Okay, but you said black people don't have shit, we don't own shit, and so for you and the other Hustle Smart, was it Hustle Smart or somebody else? Okay, I try to tell you that. You said we ain't shit. That's what you said, Brandon. All right. My other thing I'm gonna say, and this is for the panel. Who could tell me which country is one of the biggest socialist countries in the world?
USA.
Thank you very much. You win a cookie and an apple, bro. I try to tell these fools this before, and they don't understand what I'm. Corporate welfare and just welfare in general. Without socialism, America cannot work. It has to work together.
That's
every
what
country.
I was getting at.
It has to work together. It has to work together.
Yes,
that's what I'm trying to get at. Neither system is perfect, but you need parts of each. You can't have
it has to work together. It has to. It can't work without each other.
Dynast, they make up lies because in America, the people and the representatives of the people decide how money is distributed to whether it's for corporate welfare or for government entitlement programs. In socialism, the people have zero say over how their money.
That's not true. That's not true.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
Right next to each other.
All right.
That's not true.
Like your library being free, that's a socialist thing. Your public schools, that's a socialist thing. Firefighters, that's a socialist thing. Cops, that's a socialist thing. The people are paying for it.
A perfect example of socialism is what happened during COVID.
Let me speak. You guys are absolutely wrong because the library. Hold on.
It's useless listening to you.
I'll let you talk.
Go ahead, talk.
The money that funds those programs is taxed from people who pay taxes voluntarily.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
So if you don't pay your taxes, what's going to happen?
Can you guys let me talk? I didn't interrupt you. When in socialism, the people have no say over how the government allocates money at all. You don't have representation. If people in America,
yes, they do.
Wait a minute. If you look at the states like Dynast, look at the state of Texas. The people in the state of Texas decided they didn't want to pay a sales tax, right? They decided instead they would be willing to pay a higher property tax, so they didn't have to do a sales tax. Any country in the United States, in the Union, any state, right? Their people can decide how much they want to pay in taxes. They can decide what they want to be taxed for, and guess what? Their representatives have to capitulate to that, or they will not be empowered. Dynast, am I wrong or am I right?
Brandon, say what you're saying. Don't try to get Dynast to support you. Don't talk him to
Dynast, am I wrong or am I right? If we in Georgia right now, if they wanted to vote out the sales tax, could they not do that?
I'm not sure. I'm
no,
not sure.
Brandon.
All right. Some states have sales tax. Some states don't. How is that? because the people in those states voted against sales tax. You guys want to keep on making it seem like California has communism or socialism. That's not true. The people are represented. The people come together for the collective good and make decisions to create programs that help people in different ways. That's not socialism.
Brandon, if I'm not working, I got some place to go down in the city right now and get some money.
Yes, because people have voted to create that program for you.
Lord. You can't win with you, Brandon.
Listen, man.
We can't win with you.
Delroy, under socialism, the people do not decide how the government allocates money.
Yes,
in America, in this country,
yes,
where you live, and no, they don't. How? What body of government
Brandon,
is a representative of the people? In
Brandon, can I say something? I know you're gonna say it's something else, right? And on 400, there's a big highway down here. It's called the 400, right? The government wanted to expand the highway, right? So a highway that runs along the neighborhood, right, had multi-million-dollar homes there. Hundreds of homes. The government said we have to extend this highway. You guys got to move. The people then protested. No, we can't do this. Can't do that. They do everything to try to prevent the government from doing what they're going to do. Right? Guess what happened? Right? They gave them whatever the government said the housing is worth at that time. What they said, they can't come up with an answer of what it's worth. Right? And every last one of those multi-million-dollar home, 500,000 up, had to go.
Eminent domain.
I know you're gonna say eminent domain, but you could jock it down to socialism and capitalism at the same time.
Let me talk. You're wrong.
Don't tell me about eminent domain either.
You know why you're wrong? Because a larger group, the representatives of a larger group of people, decided to use eminent domain to expand the road for the greater need of the city.
Exactly, and that's socialism. Socialism.
No, it's not, because
yes, it is.
Are you gonna let me finish? I didn't interrupt you. I'll let you say.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. You're wrong, but go ahead.
Listen, this is how this works. People go and elect representatives. Representatives then go to
They do it in Cuba. They do it in Cuba.
Let me finish. People then elect state representatives, whether it's to the state senate or the state house, the Congress. When those people make a decision, they are doing that as a representative of the people. Now, when those people didn't get that road expanded, if you would have got a petition signed where 500,000 people said, no, do not expand that road and get rid of those houses, the representatives would have backed off of it and said, look, if we force this and our people don't want this, we will lose our position as senators or congressmen for the state.
That would never happen. That would never happen.
Hold on real quick.
It would never happen. That road will go there, period.
I didn't interrupt you. I'm going to give you a prime
But you're
example.
wrong.
No, I'm going to give you a prime
Hey,
example.
Delroy, let him finish, Delroy. I want to hear this. Let him finish. Go ahead.
All these people were calling for Joe Biden to call for a ceasefire in Israel. Joe Biden did not want to do that. He did not want to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. But when Joe Biden saw that a large number of people were calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, he understood that his ability to be reelected as a representative of the people was at stake. So he capitulated, called for the ceasefire in Gaza. If you notice right now,
you're wrong.
Everything Joe Biden is doing,
you're wrong.
Everything Joe Biden is doing is in response to whether or not the polls show that people support what he's doing or they don't. In America, we choose people to represent us who then make decisions.
Brandon, you're wrong. You're wrong. Okay, you have a lot of things to consider. I'm talking about Joe Biden. You think it's all it's just ceasefire? It's to prevent a wider war in the Middle East. Okay, it's to prevent Iran from getting into the shit. It's to prevent Russia from getting into the shit, right? And shut the economy down.
Dynasty,
Okay.
why did Joe Biden call for ceasefire in Gaza?
And then sent them more bombs.
Thank you. Well, that way, Brett. Well, he did send more bombs, but also too, Biden just recently. Did he shut down the border?
Yeah, he did, because people were saying they weren't going to vote for him, and he didn't.
I heard that bill is. I heard it's not really shutting down the border.
Everything Biden is doing is. Listen, everything Biden is doing is in response to the polls. If the polls show him,
it depends. It depends.
Brandon, if there's a wider war in the Middle East, the American economy will collapse because Iran will shut down the Strait of Hormuz.
His Strait of what?
The Strait of Hormuz.
Man, we don't need that strait. We're
Jesus, Lord. Oh, forget it now. Forget it.
Listen, man,
there's a difference between socialism and communism.
Just tell me you don't know how the country you live in works without telling me you don't know how the country you live in works.
Brandon, I know more about this country than you will ever know. I know more about this country than you ever know, Brandon. Okay?
Yeah, you could have socialism in a democratic country. I mean, you can even have corporate socialism, which is
you have to have it. The system cannot work without it.
We're not talking about socialism. We're talking about communism.
Socialism, Marxism, communism, these words are used interchangeably.
There is no country in the world that's communist.
Not yet.
Okay?
Not yet.
There is no country in the world that's communist, and there's none going to be.
Well, keep breathing.
No, keep breathing. What? Keep breathing? What do you mean keep breathing? What does that mean? What does that mean? I work in about 40 states in the United States. What? You guys think you know this country? You think you know this country? I live and work in about 40 states.
Yeah, but you're underinformed. That's the problem.
Underinformed? Brian, you don't know who you're dealing with, bro. You hear me tell you? You do not know who you're dealing with. Underinformed?
Now, okay, hello. I don't know if I'm on mute. Let me see. Okay, I'm on. Okay,
y'all have a good night.
Yeah.
Y'all be easy.
Is this Del?
Brandon, you keep contradicting yourself, Brandon, and that's your problem. Stop contradicting yourself, Brandon. Stop contradicting yourself. You keep saying things, right? And then you come and change your mind again.
These people don't understand the concept of representation. This is why the state of the that's why the country of the United States of America was actually created, so that the people who were taxed could have representation. No taxation without representation. So
take away socialism, take away Social Security. Take away Social Security from the United States and see what happened to this country. So if you don't have a civil war.
I just waited 20 seconds.
Okay, let Brandon finish.
Listen, this country was founded on no taxation without representation. Every single dollar that is spent in America is spent on behalf of the American people. They pick the representatives who then make the decisions that they feel are best for the country. If the people do not agree with what the representative is doing, they have access to that representative to say, if you pass that law, if you vote for that bill, you will not have a job come next year. And if that dude does vote for a bill, the people then can take him down in the form of an election and put someone else in who they feel who more accurately represents.
This country was founded on what? This country was founded on blood, death, and destruction.
Who more effectively represents their will. This is the United States. You do not find this in socialist, communist countries. Nobody here can tell me what is the representation mechanism of the People's Republic of China. You can't tell me because they don't have one.
Can I just interject here?
Brandon, is the Chinese system working?
The Chinese
system working? How much money do we owe them? How much money do we owe them?
The Chinese system survives off of capitalism of other countries.
Oh,
They basically America's
bullshit.
warehouse.
How much money we owe them? How much money US owe China?
How much money do they owe us?
Oh, get the fuck out of here, man. Are you serious?
All right.
Okay. I think they're
How
when we
much
say
money do
socialism,
we owe China 1.3, 1.2 trillion dollars. We borrow money from them every month.
But
every single month we go begging for them.
They're having a birth crash because of that one-child policy that they had for a long time.
Okay, and what?
Oh, I'm just saying that, you know, I mean, you're asking if it's working for them. That's obviously going to be a big problem for them.
Yes, it's going to be a problem for them. But you think they're not going to rectify it?
I don't know. I mean, they might.
But you think they're the only country having a birth problem?
well, that's why they're going to Africa.
We have one right here in the United States. You think white folks having kids here?
Right, but the difference with America is we didn't have a one-child policy.
Oh, bro, do you know why they had the one-child policy? Do you know why?
No, they were having too many kids.
Because they're idiots.
They were having too many damn children. That's why. And the country was dirt poor back then.
Still is dirt poor.
And it was colonized. It still is dirt poor.
I'm not, you know,
but we borrow money from them every month.
I agree with you that socialism is an aspect of, you know, pretty much any government. You're going to have some socialism.
And listen, man. You take away Social Security and welfare out of this country, right, and see if we don't have a civil war.
Right.
But someone in the comments said that those are social programs. That is not socialism.
It's the same damn thing.
It is not the same thing. It is not the same thing.
It's the same thing. It's worse. A matter of fact, it's worse.
Can I just say that there's a difference between socialism and communism? I tried to put a link in the chat, but it wasn't working. You can't click on it.
That's communist. There's no country that's communist.
There's no country that's truly communist, but there are countries that have the difference between socialism and communism is socialism.
Name a communist country.
Let me finish.
Hey,
Socialism involves the ownership of companies by the state, but not necessarily the ownership of private property. So socialism is you can almost think of, and this is in very simple terms, okay, because I don't fully understand it. I'm not that well read in it, but I just know topically, socialism is almost like a conglomerate. You have, it's someone mentioned how you can have socialism and capitalism side by side. That's socialism. Socialism is like, so you have countries like is it the Scandinavian countries are like that? Okay, some of these European countries are like that, where the state owns the companies. Okay, it owns the companies, but not private property. Okay, and they don't they don't dictate who is going to get what job, et cetera, et cetera. Communism is more.
Yeah, but name a communist country, please. Name one that's
what about the Soviet Union?
The Soviet Union is not a communist country.
What's the closest you got, though?
The Soviet Union. Listen, when America and Europe sanctioned Russia 2 years ago, do you guys realize?
I'm talking about in the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, back then.
It was always a socialist country.
Okay. You're saying it wasn't communist?
No, it was a socialist country.
I think, we can sit here and debate about, communism, socialism, like, is it good, is it bad? I think the bottom line is that you got social movements that are going, and they're trying to do, they're trying to put someone in power, and the people they're trying to put in power, they don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, socialism and capitalism work hand in hand. That's all I'm trying to say.
Right.
You can't have one without the other. Right. It don't work in no country at all on earth. You got to have it. All right? The bailout that we got in 2009, 2010, and those times, what do you think that was?
The what?
The bailout
Oh, the bailout. Yeah,
that saved America.
You know,
What do you think that was? When the American farmers, oil companies are subsidized, okay, corporate welfare. Every day, it happened every day. What is that? That's capitalism. It was capitalism. Let them company fail. In 2008, 2009, when we had the financial debacle, this country was almost at its knees.
Right. Well,
Money bailed them out. Free money. Trillions of dollars of free money. Why didn't they let those companies die?
Right.
They bail out banks all the time. They choose which one to close and which one to bail out.
Right.
Okay. My friend have a farm in New York. Right. When I was living, they said, Delroy, get a farm, you'll get money like crazy. Because it's subsidized. He bought a tractor. The tractor cost $200,000. He paid $50,000. The government gave him $150,000 because it's subsidized.
What do you think about BLM promoting?
Hey, wait! Before we,
I don't want to discuss BLM. I don't want to discuss them.
Before
right,
we
that's what the
switch
video
over,
is.
Before we switch over, I want to say this real quick. In 2006, Japan and China held 50% of all U.S. foreign-owned debt. Now in 2024, they have less than 25% of all U.S. foreign-owned debt. So the amount of money we owe to China and Japan, because Japan actually owns more U.S. debt than China does.
Yes, they do.
The amount of money we owe China is less than $1 trillion, which is only about 11% of all U.S. foreign-owned debt. So we owe China
like 1.2 trillion now.
Yeah, Delroy, let Brandon finish. Then we got to close out too. But go ahead, Brandon.
Okay, and now while we're owing them debt, because there's more nuance to this than people like Delroy care to discuss. We're owing them, but we're sending them $1.2 billion in aid every year. So we owe them, but we're also giving them aid money. So it's more complicated than you think. And let me tell you this too. Do you understand that when China buys U.S. debt, that is to keep their economy afloat? If the United States paid off their debt to China, China would collapse in 24 hours economically.
Bullshit.
It's like saying
never happened.
Be broke as long as I owe you. It's literally that.
It never happened. It never happened.
This man Chinese.
Just like they said Russia was going to collapse. Just like they said Russia was going to collapse because they sanctioned them. Thousands and thousands of sanctions. Russia is richer today than when the sanctions start.
And we're still sending Russia aid money. But we're still sending Russia $1 billion in aid money every year.
Oh, so, Lord have mercy. U.S. is not paying Russia no $1 billion in aid money. I don't care what you're looking at. They are sanctioned. They're not getting no money.
Listen,
that's old news.
They're getting, no, it's not. As of 2020.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Anyway, you can say whatever you want to, but I'm telling you, we're still sending foreign aid to Russia and China.
Damn, that's stupid.
No,
listen, Brandon, stop, man. Stop.
People don't listen. Yeah, people don't understand the way the debt works. China holds onto U.S. debt because that keeps their currency valuable.
China is selling U.S. bonds right now. They're selling U.S. bonds right now. They were ready to sanction the banks the other day. U.S. was ready to sanction Chinese bank, right?
So how could U.S. sanction Chinese banks if they
can't and they didn't? They cannot and they didn't.
Man, listen.
They were just talking shit. They cannot.
All I know is when we purposely don't even put tariffs on Chinese goods because it will taint their economy. So Chinese economy is very dependent on America.
Brandon, wait till about 1 year from now. I'm gonna see what tune you're gonna be singing.
What's today? We can mark the date and come back a year from now.
Okay, no, mark the date.
There's no way.
One more year, Brandon, and see what's gonna happen here.
Way the Chinese economy survives without America. They don't even have no natural resources at all.
Brandon, look in your house and see what's made in China.
Nothing. I don't buy products that are made in China.
Oh, you don't have to see it on there. Look and see. Look in the fine print and see
You
what's
told me
made in
to
China.
look, and I just said I don't buy products made
Oh
in China.
man, who gonna believe your ass, bro? Come on, give me a break.
Hey, is IKEA
Got
furniture
iPhones made in China.
I don't have an iPhone. My phone's
Oh
made in Korea.
Lord, what kind of phone you have?
I have a Samsung.
So let me ask something. You think
Korea.
Samsung have any factories in China?
Samsungs are made in Korea.
I know where Samsung's made, Brandon. Do you think they have any factories in China?
I'm not paid to think. I'm paid to know.
Oh,
And I don't know.
Brandon. Brandon, do we have man, Brandon? You know something? It's like useless talking to you. It's like a joke.
All right, let me pass the Ola. Go ahead, Ola. Then we're gonna close out.
oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah. About China. I mean Samsung. They definitely have a manufacturing warehouse in China. So
Thank you.
you saying that you don't have stuff made in China is just it's just meaningless. And about we have to differentiate between economic system and government. I mean system of government. Capitalism is one, and then Marxism, communism is one. I mean, for people that are saying like America is tending towards Marxism, communism, I don't think that's possible. That's why we've been fighting the Cold War, fighting in Iraq, fighting all those wars that we've been fighting. So I don't really believe in conspiracy theory. And I mean, this channel should not pander to all that nonsense. I don't think for
Hey, this isn't our Ola we know, but you are clearly an African person. Samsung, there are no Samsung phones currently being made in China. Samsung closed their last Chinese manufacturing plant in 2019. So you're wrong.
Okay.
So even if they did, it did make there 1 point, right?
Okay. You can.
What I got right now, Samsung S24 Ultra was not even made in 2019. So it clearly wasn't made in
Brandon,
China.
your underwears and your cookies in your cabinet probably made in China.
Yeah. I mean, for
I don't wear underwear. So that's on you.
All right, y'all. Listen, we're gonna close out. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time.
Brother.
That is Mere Search for Huru. Peace.